Welcome to What We Created. I'm your host, Jada Kelly. Per usual, prepare for the laughs, the tears, and a whole lot of WTFs. If this is your first time tuning in and you're thinking, damn, another pod? Damn, another pod. But I do hope this one is different from the ones you may or may not be used to tuning into, and it just offers a different perspective. So I have gained a lot of new followers on Instagram, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so happy that you guys have tuned into the pod on Apple and Spotify, and I can only be thankful to the Most High and everybody who has tuned in and left positive reviews, positive comments, talked about their own struggles, talked about their own healing situations, and yada, yada, yada. But something I do want to touch on is this podcast, and I wanted to just kind of make sure we're all on the same page on what this podcast is and what it represents. So again, if you guys maybe haven't tuned into episode 1, Practical Purpose, or maybe it was like episode 5 or 6 where I talked about why this podcast exists as well. So what we created is just basically saying that we have all had a hand in creating this thing called life, and that with every situation, everybody's hand has played a part in what is occurring today, and maybe what's even occurring in your life, positive or negative, whichever way you want to look at it. But I know on my Instagram there's a lot of things about healing, and I don't want anybody to ever come to this podcast, watch an episode, and be like, why is she talking about that? So it's gonna every single episode is essentially going to be different. I have a lot of healing like topics in my videos, but on my podcast, but I'm going to be venturing out and doing like different things. And so I want to make sure, it's my goal for whoever comes on this podcast to be very dynamic in their approach. So I want you to talk about your healing. I want to talk about your silly moments. I want to talk about your shitty moments. I want to talk about some bullshit moments. I want it to encompass everything. So this podcast is not strictly for healing. So if that's something that you're looking for, maybe I'll create well, if you're tuned into Apple and Spotify, I don't think I can do this, but if you're tuned into the YouTube channel, maybe I'll create a section where if you're coming for the healing aspect of this podcast, I'll have that in its own separate, it's not called a folder. What is it called on YouTube? It's called something. Basically, I'll make a section where what the video is going to be about. But again, I do plan on having the videos to encompass a wide range of topics, and I want them to be very dynamic, and everything isn't going to be about healing. And so I've seen a lot of comments, especially on Instagram, about people saying they want to listen to all the episodes or watch all the episodes, and they want to continue healing, and they want to progress on their journey. Yes, I do plan on every single episode to touch on some aspect of that, but just know this is not the full scope of what this podcast is. Again, it's what we created. We have created many things. Will we talk about healing some days? We'll be bullshitting some days. Some days you'll come and you be like, why did they even upload that pod? And it's like, it's okay for us to exist in a space where we're just having fun, enjoying life, enjoying the moment. I just want to touch on that real quick, just in case there was any confusion on what this is. So, I want to say happy Thursday. I really want to say happy Thursday. But the way technology be set up, is this going to go up on Thursday? We gonna pray that it goes up and that technology is on our side. This is not even what I plan to talk about today. I had a whole different topic that I should have uploaded last week. And honestly, I didn't even want to be doing this today. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was driving home. I'm running on a couple hours of sleep. And I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to upload, but it's been 10 days since I uploaded. For today's Tuesday. It's been 10 days since I uploaded, and I was like, I really don't want to do it. But I got some coffee, and I really hate drinking coffee because I hate the way it makes me feel, but I know I needed to make this, and so I got my coffee, and we're making it happen. I said this is my year of execution, so we're making it happen. I'm really working on making sure I'm making content for both people who are only listening and people who are only watching, because I realize when I go back and play me talking back, I realize I keep talking as if the only people who are listening and tuned in are people who are on YouTube. So I'm so sorry if you're on Spotify and Apple. And also, if you are only on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, unfortunately, I do make different cuts for what goes into audio only and what goes onto the into the YouTube. So if you want to see something a little bit more dynamic, it's going to be on the YouTube. But if you just want to see something that's more straight shot, straight to the point, unfortunately, I have cut that for audio only. Only because it really wouldn't make sense for me to have such some of the cuts I have to make. It wouldn't make sense for me to have it on the audio only, because y'all be like, what is she talking about? Because you can't see me. But again, I realize I need to make a better approach. I need to be more intentional with the fact that there are also people who are only listening on Apple and Spotify. So something that I really just want to touch on, when I started this podcast, I knew that my support wasn't going to come from people I know. And though people I know have really supported, I knew that the majority of support was going to come from people I don't know. And that's just life in general. And that's not to like try to shit on anybody or try to make anybody feel any type of way. I just knew like most of the people who are going to support are going to be people that you don't know. But when I first started, I wasn't getting that many views, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I kept going. And even still, to this day, there's some days I'm like, I really don't want to continue this podcast. And that's not to be discouraging. I think sometimes even when you are in alignment with something, it gets to a point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I feel like that all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. I could be making buku money. I could be doing something that I really, really enjoy. Like I really enjoy painting, but sometimes I simply just don't want to do it. I really enjoy pottery, but like I just don't be wanting to do it. It doesn't like, it's not that, and it doesn't mean it's not for me. It doesn't mean that this is not something I'm supposed to be doing. It's just like sometimes you're just simply not going to want to do it, no matter how successful you are. No matter how much money you're making, sometimes you're not going to want to do it. But if you're in alignment, keep going. So with this podcast, I never felt discouraged, but there were moments where I just simply, maybe laziness, maybe distraction. I don't know. Some days I'm like, I just want to quit and I don't want to do this anymore. But, I wasn't discouraged, but I wasn't getting a lot of views, and I didn't really care because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know eventually it's going to take off and it's going to go where it needs to go. But for maybe somebody who doesn't really see the vision. And what's so funny also is about this podcast is, I'm totally okay with people, offering me advice or, sending me tips that I think I should have. But at the same time, I think I talked about this in how to not self-sabotage and doing what works for you. I don't want to get to a point where I'm mimicking anybody. I'm finding my groove. I'm finding what works for me. And I know people want this podcast to be very, very structured. I'm like, y'all, I don't think y'all see the vision. That is not how I want it to be. I feel like I am a representation of controlled chaos, and I want this podcast to represent controlled chaos in one way or the other. That's not for everybody. The people who are meant to tap in with you, the people who are meant to tune in with you, the people who are meant to see you, the people who are meant to come across your path, come across your content, they'll get it. And I'm very appreciative for the people who have offered me advice, but make sure you stick to your plan. Make sure you stick to your vision. If you saw it one way, stick with it. But again, for somebody who may be discouraged by low views, low subscribers, a low follower count, just know that if you have been blessed, and I'll say blessed because that's how I look at it. If you have been blessed with an idea or with a strategy or God or whatever you believe in, the Most High has given you has given you anything that the Most High wants you to implement or whatever you believe in. If you have been given something that needs to be implemented by whatever means that is, just know eventually it's going to come to pass the way you see it in your head. So even though I'm not uploading as frequently as I should be, but me making content and making sure it's up there. So when God says, okay, now you have something to show for it. So imagine, and this is also with being in alignment. So imagine God gave you these ideas. Imagine the Most High gave you these ideas, gave you these visions, and you just decided, I'm just not going to do anything about it. When the Most High says go, or whatever you believe in says go, there's nothing to show for it. People have nothing to go back and look at. So because I'm or other people are constantly uploading content, no matter who's watching, when the Most High says, okay, now people have something to go back and look at. So now I could have five views on a YouTube video, but when the Most High says go, now I got 40 million. Like, just know there's a reason why you are being instructed to put out your content. There's a reason why you're instructed to go to certain places. There's a reason why you are being instructed to not go to certain places. Just make sure you're following your vision. When you are in alignment, I don't think you have to work as hard as you think you do. I know there's like this notion in America that everybody needs to be grinding the freaking pavement, and don't come for me. I don't agree with that anymore. I don't subscribe to that like ideology, because not that it never got me anywhere, it just had me working way harder than I needed to. And I think I didn't really come to terms with the fact that I didn't need to work as hard as I thought I did until like maybe like 2 years ago. When you are in alignment and you are like lined up with where you need to be in life, there's no point of you trying to grind the pavement. Get up, do what you need to do, but know that you don't have to work yourself to the bone. And even growing up, I always felt like this is coming a little bit too easy for me. Like, shouldn't I be tired? Literally, I used to have these thoughts. Shouldn't I be tired? Shouldn't I be exhausted? Should it be this easy? Like, even if I'm doing, like, say I'm doing schoolwork, and I'm like, dang, it doesn't really feel like I did anything to feel accomplished. Shouldn't I be tired? Shouldn't I feel like I just overworked myself? And it's like, no, baby, no, change your mindset. And I promise you, things will even start flowing easier into your life. And we can even speak on relationships, because I realize with women, relationships seems to be a very hot topic, which is cool. Go off. You do not have to work as hard as you think you do. You really shouldn't have to work hard at all. And that goes for men and women, if I'm really being honest. You don't have to, and I guess it depends on what your definition of work hard is. You don't have to work as hard for a partnership as you think you do. When you are in alignment with somebody else, I think it flows pretty naturally. You don't need to be working really you should never be working hard to not even obtain, I don't want to use that word for a person. You shouldn't be working hard to come into partnership with another person. Like, when it matches up, it matches up. So for all my people out there who feel like you need to be breaking your back to make something happen, and granted, sometimes you may be in a season where you have to put in a little bit more effort than maybe you are used to. That's completely different from spending your entire life freaking breaking your back. You can't even think straight because you're so exhausted. And I know for a lot of people, they think that's how it should be. And maybe if that works for you, again, you got to find what works for you. If that works for you, that's fine. But I want people to feel free, and I wish ease and alignment for everybody who is watching this. I want you to know you don't have to work as hard as you think you do. I want you to know that when you are in alignment, things honestly, truly do flow very naturally into your life. But also be aware that you can reject these things from flowing into your life if you feel like you do not deserve it. Know that you deserve ease. You deserve abundance. You deserve prosperity. And especially for my women out there, I know women really men more than women, I think. But for hell, even for African Americans, I feel like we've been sold this idea that we have to work so freaking hard to obtain anything. And just know, when you are in alignment, when you are living, I don't want to say right and wrong, but when you are living in a way that you know honors yourself and honors the Most High, or honors whatever you believe in to the highest degree, just know it flows into your life effortlessly. It may not come in the timing that you think it should, but it will flow into your life effortlessly. If you feel like you are constantly fighting against the current, change directions. Don't change the vision, change directions. And if you understand what that means, you understand what that means. And if you don't, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I feel like it reached who it needed to. But yeah, I truly wish, and I think maybe you come into a more alignment the more you heal. I would hope that the most healed version of you comes into alignment and reaches the greatest heights that you ever thought you could. Um, I think this life already, I don't want to say beats us down enough, but this life already, it it be doing this is thing sometimes. Um, I don't really like saying life is hard. Life already comes with its challenges, so I would just hope that you don't make your vision another challenge. Just know you are just deserving of ease. I don't know any other way to say it. There's gonna be moments where, there's mountains and valleys. That's just what life is. But I feel like a lot of people are running in place. Essentially, you feel like you're working hard, but you're running in place. And I feel like you're running in place because you don't understand it don't have to be all that. It doesn't need to be all that. You are deserving of ease. And I pray this reaches who it needs to. You are so deserving of ease. You are deserving of ease in your relationships. You're deserving of ease in your business ventures. You're deserving of ease in your relationship with yourself. You're deserving of ease in your relationship with anybody. You're deserving of ease at your job. You're deserving of ease in your day-to-day tasks. You're deserving of ease with your children. You are just deserving of ease. It doesn't have to be this constant fight. And I'm not saying that life is going to be absent of difficulties, but it doesn't have to be a constant fight. And if you are constantly fighting, you understand what I mean. This message is not going to be for everybody, but I know those who are constantly fighting and running in place, you're going to understand what I'm saying. Just know you are deserving of ease and you are deserving of a life filled with joy. Again, there's going to be mountains and valleys. That's just what it is. But just know, when ease comes, when ease tries to knock at your front door, whenever ease calls you, pick up the phone. I think a lot of us are kind of dropping the ball and we're just like, we think we don't deserve it if it doesn't come with a struggle. Just know, when you are being offered something, when you are being granted something, when you are being blessed with something, know that you deserve it. Everything doesn't have to be so hard to feel like it was well worth it. And for people who have obtained anything, a relationship, money, a business, go out and help somebody else. I see this notion of like, because you had to work so hard for it, somebody else should have to work just as hard as you did. And it's like, just go help somebody. Like, I feel like we are given things to help other people progress. I don't really know if we're not helping others progress or reach something, what's really the point of it all? But again, some people, I don't really think it's selfish. Some people don't want that life, and that's fine. But for those who want to see progression, and that's with anything, because again, this is the What We Created podcast. So for those who want to see progression in this life, go out and help somebody. I get that it may not have been the easiest for you, but help somebody find their ease. Damn, should the title of this message be called "Help Somebody Find Their Ease"? You deserve ease. Maybe that's what it should be. I just want y'all to know that when you come into alignment and when you're working on your craft, you may not be seeing the results that you want to see, but just know they're coming. Have the content there. Have the vision there. If you want to do a business, make sure you have your business plan. You may be walking down the street one day and some random person approaches you and says, "Hey, you ever thought about starting a business?" hand them your business plan. They could offer you $1 million. That's really how life works. I don't think like, and this is going to sound crazy to people who are like, nothing comes that easy. Y'all be surprised at what people are willing to offer you when you feel like you're deserving of it. And feeling like you're deserving of it is an energy thing. So it attracts energy that wants to give. There are thousands, millions of givers in this world. And it's okay for you to be a receiver sometimes. Just know that you receive, at least offer to give, at least give it to somebody else too. Help the world go around. And the last thing I'm going to say is I'm really working on articulating myself better. So again, for the new subscribers and the people who have already been subscribed, and I realized this after doing the pod with my sister, that you essentially don't know me. So even though I know in my head, I know what I mean, I know how I'm trying to come across, I have to articulate my thoughts, and I have to speak every point thoroughly so that it makes sense and that you guys understand exactly what I mean in a way that is digestible. And I think when I go back and I watch my previous videos, I'm like, for somebody who doesn't know me, or for somebody who doesn't know about this topic, they may not understand, or I may be coming across one way, but that's also something I'm working on. I think I don't want to be perceived in a certain way, but it's like people gonna perceive you how they perceive you. But at the same time, I think I can be a little bit more diligent in how I deliver these messages. So I just hope today that I hope that this message today was a little bit more thorough. But again, I'm working on that. I'm working on making sure that just know the content is going to get better. I'm going to keep learning, and this is a learning process for me. It gets easier every time I do it, and I try to stick to not really a structure, because again, this is controlled chaos, but I'm trying to stick to like a base method for how I'm going to deliver everything. But some exciting news. The next pod is going to feature, I think it's going to be the next pod, because next week is Valentine's Day, and we're doing like Galentine's, and then also going out on Valentine's Day. So it's like there's a lot going on right now, but I really want that pod to be uploaded next Thursday. It's going to be our first male guest. Shout out to our first male guest for even offering, and shout out to everybody else who offered to be a male guest on the show. I want to make sure that this podcast stays being what we created. I love the fact that I gained so many subscribers who are women, but I want to make sure that we are catering to all audiences. So I just sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to every new subscriber, everybody who has tuned into the videos on YouTube, everybody who has tuned into the podcast on Apple and Spotify, and I pray that you guys keep returning. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at WhatWeCreated. If you're only listening on Apple and Spotify, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube at WhatWeCreated. If you're only on YouTube, go ahead and I really wish y'all would rate. I love the fact that y'all are leaving comments on Instagram, sending messages, whatever. But I really wish y'all would rate it on Spotify and Apple. If you enjoyed the podcast, feel free to rate it on Spotify and Apple. Feel free to leave comments on the YouTube videos. I do try to respond, especially on Instagram. I genuinely try to respond, because some of y'all leave like the most heartfelt messages, and even the amount of support I've been getting, I'm truly appreciative. I just hope that y'all keep enjoying the content, and I just hope that I just know it'll get better and better now that I'm not exactly at the number that I wanted to be at before I really started investing and getting more equipment, but I think I'm in a space now, because I said every step of the way I'm going to invest more and more, but I want to make sure that I was like on a pathway to investing versus like going head first. Again, being in alignment, it can come with ease. So I don't know what I'm going to buy next. Maybe a light. How do y'all feel about this setup? Like, how does it look on YouTube? I don't know. I'm gonna see what I can do to keep investing in the podcast. So yeah, I sincerely thank y'all for tuning in. I pray everybody has an amazing Valentine's Day. If you do not have a significant other, go out with your friends. make some stuff for your family, you know, you don't always have to be a receiver. Go be a giver. And even if nobody gets you anything back, go be a giver. It's okay. Make the world go round. So yes, I thank y'all for tuning in to What We Created, and we'll be back with our first male guest either next Thursday or the Thursday after. See y'all later.